Alright, I bought this just to show you some meat cutting here. It's a prime rib roast. It's $8.80 a kilo, and it's fairly thick. That's probably as thick as 3 normal steaks. The thing I wanted to show you is that's $8.80 a kilo. If you had bought the steaks, the prime rib steaks, it was $13.71 a kilo. That's more than 50% more. So you can save some money by cutting your own steaks out of that. Basically what you're going to do is, now the one thing you don't have that butchers have is a bandsaw. They cut these on a bandsaw. And basically at the butcher shop it's a big long cut. It's a big long piece that comes out like this. And you have your, you have what they call a steak knife, which is one of these big 18-inch jobbies. And first you go along here and you make your cuts with your steak knife right down to the bone. So you do your cuts down to the bone, and then you fan that out and run it through the bandsaw to cut the bones. Well, you can do this at home. You don't need a bandsaw. It's pretty easy, and I'll show you how to do it. So get your piece of meat out on your board. And the first thing you're going to do is basically use a boning knife. And you can use, if you don't have a boning knife, I'm sure you can use like something like that. Probably not a big deal. You might want to have a butcher's glove. I'm not going to put mine on right now, and that could be prophetic, I don't know. And just find the bone and cut around it. You don't really got to know where it is in order to cut around it. Your knife will tell you where it is. It's mostly even, it's mostly ribs up on this part. As it gets towards the spine here, it becomes a little bit uneven, but it's no big deal. Now you're not going to end up with bones in your steaks like a real rib steak, which could be a plus or could be a minus, but you can still take that bone and cook it. You can throw it on the grill. You can leave a little extra meat on it and throw it on the grill like steaks. You can see it's got some meat on it here. So keep that, throw that on the grill. And then when you get, whoopsie, never try to catch a knife. Always just jump out of the way. That's one of the first things I learned in a butcher shop. Now from here, when you want to cut it, you need a big knife, and you're going to go parallel to the table. You could use, again, if you don't have one of those, you might be able to use, as long as it's longer than your piece of meat, that might be a bit better. I'm going to use an actual steak knife. This is what they use in a butcher shop. It cost me $40 down at Russell Equipment here in Ottawa. Well worth it. Now, I mentioned you could get 3 steaks out of that the way they cut them in the supermarket. I'm going to go for 2. I'm sure my wife will appreciate that. Nice and thick and still mooing. And basically, you just got to make sure your knife is sharp. Keep your knife even, parallel to the table, and you should be able to get through this relatively easily. Keep your fingers on. Remember, your fingers belong on your hand. And just cut it like that. Now this is an awkward piece to cut because a rib steak actually has so many seams in it, and this one's all coming apart on me. So you got to hold it together, but it's still not too bad. Keep your mind where your fingers are and where that knife is. I'm getting close here. Whoops, there's a little nick. Now I lost that tail piece there, no big deal. But basically, that's it. Now you've got 2 really nice steaks. It's pretty even. I've seen butcher shops that do a lot less of an even cut than that, and they are professional butchers. And that's it. That's all you got to do. I've got 2 steaks cut. I'm saving 50% of the price of buying the steaks.